Firstly, Brian, thank you for sitting down today for this update. To start, could you just update us on some of the work that's going on in the area in the recent months with Morton in the community?
Yeah, so the past few months what I've been looking at off the pitch is our strategy and what our place is in Inverclyde and the surrounding area. So that's been some consultation with community partners, participants, players, but more on the pitch, shall we say, there's been a lot of work in terms of project delivery. So at the stadium since Christmas we've been very busy, so we've had a Warm Hands of Friendship lunch, which meant we can open the doors for the community to come along, get some lunch and have a warm space, opportunity to charge their phone, for example, that might be a barrier for them. We've also delivered a few employability programmes, which one being Off the Bench, which is in partnership with Cashback for Communities and the SPFL Trust. This programme is exciting because it gave young people the opportunity to develop and look at their future planning, and of the 12 participants, 6 of them were classed as New Scots, so people coming to the area to seek asylum, and that was an interesting model for us and an opportunity to integrate them into our community. But off the back of that, we've then worked with local health and social care partnership to deliver a weekly football session for New Scots, and we're delighted that that's got over 30 people in attendance, and ultimately people from different backgrounds, different challenges who come together and play football. And then again, other things we've been looking at is our community team programme. So what is our community teams and how do we structure that better, make it more of a programme that's for the members and for the parents and the coaches, and that's a bit of work we're currently undertaking and going to be launching soon as well. And then lastly, we've been finishing off a programme in partnership with Notre Dame High School. So that's where we've had a staff member in the school working with 8 young people who were classed as disengaged, and we're delighted that that programme's been successful and their attendance has increased. 7 of the 8 have got places in college, and they've all received 5 qualifications as part of the work of John and the team there.
And I suppose as a not-for-profit organisation, the funding aspect of it is always a challenging one, isn't it? But in terms of the funding, how satisfied are you with the overall investments that's been secured and the investments that's going into the Inverclyde community through Morton in the community? Yeah,
so if you ask any charity leader, they'll say they want more money and they want more investment, and that's no different for us. But a big thing for what we're trying to achieve is what is the need of Inverclyde, and how can Morton as a football club or a community organisation support Inverclyde and fill that gap effectively. A big part of our work is always consultation with key partners, families. What's the gaps, what's the needs? We then try to deliver programmes that fill that gap and prove it works, and then ultimately that will lead to more investment. We always want more money, we always want more resources, but we're really proud on what we've achieved. So in the past 11 years we've invested over £3 million into the local area. That's included opportunities for people to develop, it's included employment opportunities. But again, if you ask me honestly, we need more, we want more, but we'll continue to work with what we have and provide opportunities for this community who need it most.
And recently, an extremely positive bit of news was the extension of the Extra Time programme. Could you just give us an insight into how important that programme is, particularly, and its impact on families and young people in the local area?
Yeah, so firstly delighted with that news because it's been a programme that's completely different for us. So we're extremely thankful to the Scottish Government and Scottish FA for developing this programme that's delivered nationally through football communities. More locally, we are delighted to work in partnership with Inverclyde Council and Active Schools to really target the correct areas. But that programme for young people gives young people the opportunity to improve their well-being, improve their physical and emotional intelligence, but ultimately come together and improve that social connections and get a healthy snack after school. But again, if you then look at the families, we can then support that childcare provision for after school, which is often a challenge for families. And that might lead to increased employment for families while their kids being looked after by Morton staff. But also they can then increase their employment, they can get employment for the first time. And that programme we can see really growing strength to strength, and we're continuing to work with key partners to target the right families. And the impact so far, we've got over 100 people who engage in that programme on a weekly basis in 5 schools, and then finalising what summer period looks like at the moment in terms of that more targeted approach for childcare while children are off school. So it's an exciting one, different, but allowed us to engage more people and give people more opportunity.
And of course, part of the work that Morton and the community do is also working alongside the club as well. Most recently with Team Ton. But I suppose in terms of what's to come moving forward, could you just provide an update on that?
Yeah, so it's important we work in partnership with the club, and obviously myself and Dale have got a long-standing friendship. We've known each other for a few years now, and we're quite similar in terms of what we want to do. We're quite proud of the place of Morton in Inverclyde. We were delighted to support the Team Ton project, and to have over 100 members shows a real captive audience and a real need for that programme. But moving forward for us as a community organisation connected to the club, it's important that we continue to evolve, and how can we engage the fan base, for example. So we've received some funding from the NHS to do health checks across the community, and that's something we're exploring for match days next year once the fixtures are announced. We're also looking at the Morton match day for our current participants, so how do we get more of our young people to the games and give them an opportunity to watch the first team and aspire to be that. And then lastly, we're looking at how does the women's team sit underneath the club, and how do we support that transition. But ultimately, how does that transition support the pathway we have with over 100 young girls playing football, aspiring to be the next generation of Morton women's players? So a lot of work happening with the club, a lot of exciting stuff, and we're really proud to be part of that, but we want to engage the wider fan base more. We look at the match day, for example, and how many people come here and how much we can offer support there. So in the past we've done Cappy's Corner, for example, we've done food bank collections, so we're looking at what does that wider community impact look like on a match day once the season starts back.
And Team Talk as well, recently turned 5 years old. Of course, it can't be understated just how important a project like that is for the community. But I suppose in terms of from yourself and the way you view it, how important is it to keep a programme like that running?
Yeah, so Team Talk's always an interesting one for me, because I was one of the first staff members, along with Johnny, who's still here, and Nick and Ross, who have moved on to new opportunities. It's always an interesting one, because I remember in May 2019 when we opened the door on Monday night, and we said to ourselves, if one guy walks through that door, we've proved the need, and we're delighted 5.5 years later that programme still runs, and every Monday night people walk through that door, which we can't underestimate how difficult that is, to walk through that door on a Monday night and effectively seek help and support. But for me, there's a lot of stigma around men's mental health, and men don't talk. But if you really look at our programmes, we've got a lot of men who engage in that programme, either Team Talk, Walking Football, the Changing Room in partnership with Sam H. And men do talk. But the big thing for me is the environment we provide, and how can we make that more welcoming, make it more their environment. And that's a piece of work that we're really proud of. And as long as I'm here and as long as Morton Community here, this stadium's going to be open on a Monday night. We're proud of it, but more importantly, we need to keep it going, and we need to continue to say to people, no matter your age and stage, no matter your gender, support is there for you. And if Morton the community can help you, that'd be great, but if not, we could probably find someone who can help you.
And you've been doing some extensive work in reshaping the community team aspect within recreational football. Can you just give us an idea of the numbers involved in the playing coaching sense, and just how positive it is to see so many young people engaging with football throughout the Morton community? Yeah,
so community team programme for us has been a real intense piece of work since probably the turn of the year, to be honest. To provide community football teams, it's very challenging. You rely a lot on external factors, i.e. facility hire, governing bodies, the compliance, etc. But it's all important stuff. But for us, it's really important that we provide football opportunities, that young people can go and play football in a traditional sense, in terms of training 2 or 3 times per week, and then that weekend match day that we all love and enjoy. But for us, we've got currently over 300 players. Just under a third of that, is within the girls' game, which has seen a massive growth in the last 3 or 4 years, particularly under the Morton badge. But it would be really remiss of me not to sit here and say thank you to all the volunteer coaches, because we've got over 80 volunteers, and they continue to go out on a Tuesday or a Thursday or a Monday and a Wednesday and a Saturday and a Sunday and provide real opportunities for kids and young people to kick a ball and play under that Morton badge. And we're excited of what we currently have, but we're currently doing a piece of work at the moment of how we reshape that, relaunch it with input from our coaches and our parents and our young people, because ultimately that's what we all love doing, is playing football, and we're proud that so many of them do that, and it's a huge thanks to all the volunteers that provide that opportunity.
Recently as well, you were involved with the STEM Festival. How important is it to grow the STEM programme within the community, and what can it add to your portfolio?
Yeah, so STEM for me is interesting. We started delivering STEM in 2021 when we got some UEFA funding to deliver it in schools, and we were coding robots, and it was completely different for us. But then the more you engage the community and key partners, you realise the importance of STEM and how much that is the future of young people's career aspects and opportunities. The recent STEM Festival showed the real appetite for it, in terms of we had over 1,100 people attend the Watt Museum, which was our first ever STEM Festival, and we couldn't do that without key partners in a working group, which we're really proud to be part of. We're delighted that we've now secured some funding from the National Lottery Young Start programme to deliver a full STEM Ahead programme in 3 identified communities. So these communities are traditional communities who might not engage with STEM due to their background and their opportunity. But this programme now is going to give young people who might not seek STEM as a career path and opportunity that chance to go, that's something I can do and I really enjoy. And the good bit is we can then relate it to football and what is STEM within football. So if you look at sports science, physiotherapy, there's real crossover in what the future may look like. So it's an exciting adventure, it's different, and it's one we're really proud to be part of.
And for you personally, you're almost reaching your testimonial here. It's almost a decade that you've been with Morton in the community. But what parts are you excited about that we should be looking forward to as Morton in the community continues to grow? Yeah,
so 10 years it's been interesting. It feels sometimes 100, it feels sometimes 1 year. But really boring answer for me, and I think I said this last year when we celebrated our 10th birthday, was how do we be here in another 10 years, and how do we continually open these doors, whether it be Capello, whether it be community centres, community buildings, for the people of Inverclyde who really need it most. I'm proud of the work we've done, and without all the staff, volunteers and board members of Morton in the community, we couldn't have done any of this stuff. So I'm excited to see what we do next. But a big thing, going back to a previous point, is what does Inverclyde really need? How can we do some consultation, research, and ultimately how do we provide opportunities for people of this community, which I'm very proud to be part of, to better themselves no matter their situation currently.
And you were of course appointed to the board of European Football for Development Network last season. It's certainly fantastic recognition for the hard work that not just yourself but the Morton and the community are putting in. Could you tell us a bit more just about that role and how you found it so far?
Yeah, so firstly I'm proud to be part of that and represent this football club in Morton in the community in the European stage, and we're very fortunate that we were one of the first members of that organisation 10 years ago, and that was an invite only for all the amazing work we've done in the community. So when the opportunity came around last year to join the board, it was an interview process, which I've not done an interview for 15 years or something, so that was completely different. But it was a real opportunity for me to really upskill myself, learn more about what the world looks like in terms of football, and that has been a interesting opportunity for me. It's been a real learning curve. So on that board we've got people from England, Spain, Ukraine, Germany, Holland, Belgium. So challenging because you're trying to understand different laws and regulations across Europe. But what I really learn and what I continue to say is we find the Scottish clubs involved in that network, which there's 14 of them I think at present, they really continue to punch above their weight and do a lot for their community. But what I also learn is the power of football across community, and everyone says it's the football language, it's part of the world. You don't need to understand the actual language, you can play football and you can learn through football, and that's so apparent. And for me that's effectively what I like doing. I love the game of football and I can see the impact it has on people. The challenge of football was always the Saturday afternoon and the bit you can't control. but I think everything around that we can control, and we can see the power of it across Europe. So it's a real honour to represent not only Morton Football Club, but Morton and the community as well.
And just finally, if anyone out there is looking to get involved with Morton and the community, whether that's in a coaching role or just taking part in programmes, how can they do that?
Yeah, so there's many opportunities. So volunteering is a huge part of what we do, and it's ultimately that keeps the lights on for us as volunteers. And you don't need to volunteer to coach, you could volunteer in anything. And if you want to be involved in any of our programmes, just get in touch and we can look at volunteering opportunities. Other ways you can do, and a big part of is just share the work we do. So a lot of people think we're just the football people who do kids football, but there's so much more than that, as we deliver 27 projects across Inverclyde. So any social media shares, any shares with family members and stuff, that really helps and goes a long way. And then lastly, if anyone wants to fundraise or do crazy things like run marathons, and if you can do that for Morton the community as well, and all that money gets reinvested back into Inverclyde. But there's a inquiries at mortoncommunity.net email address, and if anyone wants to hear more, get in touch or even give us any feedback, both positive and constructive, shall we say, please get in touch as well.
Well, thank you for sitting down with us today, Brian.
No, thank you very much, appreciate it.